Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Yusraini Nur Arifah. I'm a student of Master of Management Program, Faculty of Economics and Business, State University of Jakarta. On this occasion, I will explain the thesis research proposal entitled The Role of Social Capital in Group Lending as a Strategy to Reduce Bad Debts in the Grameen Model Business. A case study on PT Amartha Mikro Fintek borrowers in Banten regions. Here's the agenda, where the first chapter is an introduction which contains about problem background, problem identification, problem limitation, problem formulation, research objective, and research benefits. And in chapter 2, which is literature review, will contains a discussion of literature review, previous research, and conceptual framework. And in chapter 3, which is research methodology, will contains about research methods, research place and time, research subjects, and data source, data collection method, data analysis method, data validity checking, which qualitative data analysis tools program with NVivo. Okay, first of all, I will introduce PT Amartha Mikro Fintek, which is the subject of this research, where PT Amartha Mikro Fintek is one of the leading peer-to-peer lending fintech companies in Indonesia that distributes microloans to women entrepreneurs through a joint responsibility or social capital scheme. PT Amartha Mikro Fintek has distributed loan more than 2.6 million women entrepreneurs across Indonesia with a loan repayment rate of 97%. PT Amartha Mikro Fintech's borrowers are women micro entrepreneurs who are members of joint responsibility groups, and these groups apply social capital principles similar to the Grameen Bank business model. Grameen Bank uses a business model based on social capital, where micro entrepreneurs belong to groups that guarantee their loan to each other. This model has proven effective in increasing loan repayment rates and reducing the risk of non-performing loans. Grameen Bank has successfully provided loan to more than 90 million women around the world, with loan repayment rates reaching 98%. Grameen Bank has an effective non-performing loans management strategy, including proactive collection, loan restructuring, and training micropreneurs. These strategies help Grameen Bank to minimize losses due to non-performing loans. Generally, Grameen Bank has a low non-performing loan rate around 2%, and according to Beasley in 1995, their positive effect of group lending, which is successful group members may have a desire to help repay the loans of group members whose business is declining, so that the funds are insufficient to pay their obligation, so that this member are helped and will replace them in the future. And this applies to all members with each other. Meanwhile, the negative effect is that if the majority of the group defaults, it will influence other members not to pay because they are burdened with the obligation of other members who can pay off their own loans as soon as possible. The weakening of social capital, according to Coleman, when there is migration or population movement and the arrival of residents, so that if it creates new values, which result in accommodation of value adjustment. Thus, the purpose of this research is to find out how the role of social capital as an NPL management strategy can be applied by PT Amartha Mikro Fintech in Banten region, which is the area with the highest number of NPL. And according to Nasution in 2020, understanding the concept of ideal microcredit governance is not shared by all stakeholders of microcredit financing program. Several studies have also revealed that this is due to low managerial knowledge and that many institutions on average do not understand the difference between managing microcredit and other credit lending institutions such as banks. Okay. And next, problem identification, which is social capital is the only guarantee in credit loans at Amartha Mikro Fintek. Then Amartha highest bad debts are in the Banten region and contributes 4% of Amartha's total NPL, which is 3% of overall. And then the number of active borrowers in Banten region in Amartha is 89,000 or 3% of Amartha's total active borrowers nationally. And the number of Amartha's employee in Banten area is 107 people, which is quite proportional. The ratio between number of field officer and the number of borrowers is 1 per 155, which means that is proportional. And currently there are 9 branches out of a total 123 branches in the Banten area. PT Amartha Mikro Fintek is focused only on recovery and does not provide new loan facility. Next, problem limitation. To identify the role of social capital in group lending, respondents are limited to the heads of borrowers group at PT Amartha Mikro Fintek in the Banten area. And the problem formulation, firstly, what is the role of social capital in group lending to reduce the risk of bad debts for PT Amartha Mikro Fintek borrowers in the Banten area? And then what is PT Amartha Mikro Fintek strategy in handling the high level of bad debts in the Banten region? And the last is what is PT Amartha Mikro Fintek's group loan credit financing strategy, especially in Banten region? And this research objective is to understand the role of social capital as an NPL management strategy implemented by PT Amartha Mikro Fintek in the Banten region, which is the region with the highest number of NPL. And then what is understanding what is PT Amartha Mikro Fintek strategy to deal with the high level of bad debts in Banten region. And lastly, understanding what are the group loan credit financing strategy at PT Amartha Mikro Fintek, especially in Banten region. Okay. Research benefit. Benefit for researcher. The results of this study are expected to help researchers explain the role of social capital in group lending as a strategy to manage credit risk of Grameen Bank borrowers in the Banten area. And in general, researchers can apply the theories and knowledge gained from working as a credit risk analyst in a financial institution and learning in strategic management master course, and specifically understand the behavior of borrowers in Grameen Bank. And then for the management of PT Amartha Mikro Fintek and other Grameen Banks companies, to improve market and borrower understanding, improve business decision, reduce risk, improve performance management, enhance innovation, support data-driven decision making, support business growth and sustainability. And for other parties, the research results are expected to be an evaluation material in formulating financing strategies in Indonesia and especially in Banten region, and the author hopes that it can be useful for readers to consider the role of social capital as a related research reference for the future research. Okay, move to chapter 2, literature review, where Grameen Banks is introduced by Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh around 1970, where Grameen Bank was developed with a noble purpose and has made a huge impact on poverty alleviation projects. Grameen Bank has indirectly becomes a women's empowerment program, and as a result, poor women are trained and organized to make a living for themselves. There are 3 factors behind the birth of Grameen Bank concept, where there is the exclusions of the poor from financial services. There is the limitation of women's productivity, and there is the dehumanizing system of capitalism. Okay, according to Nasution in 2020, the researches available in the community in theory are the importance of social capital, especially related to networks, reciprocity, and trust that could characterize group loans program, especially social capital, which is where the strength of the finance institutions lies. Social capital is a series of coordination and cooperation process between people that benefit each other efficiently and effectively. The advantages of social capital are very important, which is a substitute for asset collateral in guaranteeing loan repayment rates. The importance of social capital is often used in microcredit management practices, where social capital is a valuable asset to ensure the quality of loans for poor debts. So strengthening social capital in microcredit distribution is needed because debtors are poor people who have no capital or collateral other than social capital. According to Regina et al. In 2021, tanggung renteng or joint responsibility, where tanggung comes from the word responsibility, which means to bear, guarantee, express willingness to pay another person's debt if the person does not keep her promises. Meanwhile, the word renteng means series, trans, or joint. In the world of credit, joint responsibility can be interpreted as joint responsibility between the borrower and the guarantor for the debt she made. Joint responsibility is responsibility among members in one group for all obligation to the microfinance institution with openness and mutual trust. According to Albanin in 2014, the microcredit program strategy is one of the strategic functions of the bank, which is often the cause of the decline in bank profits. And the higher the bank's non-performing loan ratio, the lower the bank's profit, thus confirming that lending is a risky activity. Therefore, the financing strategy should analyze the mitigation of bad debts and prevent bad debts at an early stage to avoid losses. The effectiveness of a credit strategy is closely related to the objective of credit, such as profitability and security. Profit is the interest on the loan, and security is the smooth payment of the loan. Furthermore, when we look at the factors that lead to loan default, we find that the failure is greater than the strategy itself. Loan default is also the inability, the management, to implement effective and efficient strategies. And according to Hariva et al. In 2022, non-performing loans or NPL are a problem caused by two factors, which is where financial service mistakenly fail borrower to meet their loan payment or obligation, and borrower who deliberately do not provide loan itself. Is a type of loan where there is a payment failure. When performing loans increase, the amount of revenue or profit decrease, and the amount of profit sharing also decreases. The appropriate standard for non-performing loan is less than 5%. Factors causing default include borrower characteristic and financial problems. Okay. This study adopted previous research by Asga Banguning in 2017, entitled The Role of Social Capital in the Performance of Microfinance Institution, case study at Koperasi Maju, Jakarta, where social capital is defined as a relationship or association created between humans in the form of mutual trust, understanding, similarity, values, and behavior that generate strength not only in economic aspect, but also in every other aspect of social existence. Social capital formed in an organization includes, first, social relationship, which can take the form of bonding with social groups, bridging between social groups, norms, and trust. Then researchers embedded in social networks in the form of access to competence, access to markets, and access to finance. And lastly is collective action, which is a combination of researchers and efforts to achieve common goals. There are total 25 previous studies, of which 13 studies were conducted in Indonesia at various different locations. And here I will show a summary of 25 previous studies, but maybe I will not mention and explain one by one to shorten the time. Okay. Conceptual framework. So, some researchers suggest that there is a strong relationship between capital social as a substitute for collateral to minimize credit risk in micro segment. Social capital among potential borrowers is an ideal microfinance institution advantageous to build a group lending program. And there is various studies have shown that group loans can address credit risks or non-performing loan or NPL while breaking the economic monopoly of the poor. And this conceptual creating three research questions. First, how is the role of social capital in group lending able to reduce the risk of bad debts for PT Amartha Mikro Fintech's borrowers in the Banten region? Then, what is the PT Amartha Mikro Fintech strategy in handling the high level of bad debts in the Banten region? And what is PT Amartha Mikro Fintech's group loan credit financing strategy, especially in Banten region? Okay, we move into the discussion of chapter 3, which is research methodology. The qualitative research method was chosen because the respondents of this study are rural people who do not have literacy skills, which is not familiar with technology, and require a special approach that prioritizes personal closeness and trust. According to Feigenberg et al. In 2010, the characteristic of rural communities take with Japanese culture emphasize that the existence of social capital in the form of trust, networks, and norms. Qualitative methods allow researchers to build deep relationship with a respondent, so they are willing to provide honest and accurate information. In addition, qualitative research also allows researchers to the intensively and long-term in the field setting, observing and understanding the social context that affect the life of respondent. Thus, researcher can obtain honest, accurate, and in-depth data about the phenomenon under study. Okay. This research will conduct in April 2025 in Lebak, Pandeglang, Serang, and Tangerang areas of Banten province, using primary data where the research subjects are 3 employees of the head office and branch office of PT Amartha Mikro Fintech and 10 leader of the group. The criteria for selecting informants or borrower are based on first, the group loan consists of at least 10 people, has a complete member attendance rate of more than 50% of the service schedule for 1 year. Then the group member have current and non-performing loan status. And then the age of the group and loans at the PT Amartha Mikro Fintech is more than 4 years. Data collection method by in-depth interviews and documentation, where demographic details including age, marital status, educational status, type of business, loan cycle, and membership status, and some of key questions detail. And the data analysis method used is descriptive analysis and constant comparative method, which is data reduction, categorization, and synthesis. Here's the background of key interview questions adopted from Banten research in 2017. Contains social relationship, that is, how do members interact with each other in the loan group, how do members know each other, how long they have known each other, what is the trust between members like, and what are the activities of the members during PT Amartha Mikro Fintech's group service hour. And then embedded resources, which is what are borrowers' experience with PT Amartha Mikro Fintech and maybe other Grameen banks, like how do borrowers interact with PT Amartha Mikro Fintech's officer, and social development program that might be have provided by PT Amartha Mikro Fintech and other Grameen banks. And the last point is collective action, which is how much is the current loan from PT Amartha Mikro Fintech, how many times have the borrower received a loan from PT Amartha Mikro Fintech, what is the borrower's household economy like, income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. And lastly, what is the history of loan utilization, supervision of the loan system, and loan repayment strategies, including when there are members who cannot pay installments. And last point is research question for employees of PT Amartha Mikro Fintech contains what is PT Amartha Mikro Fintech strategy in handling the high level of PTAPs in Banten region, and what is Amartha Mikro Fintech's group loan credit financing strategy, especially in Banten region. Next, data validation review by using triangulation, using reference materials, and NVivo qualitative data analysis tool program. Triangulation is a method of checking the validity of data by using other means. Otherwise, the data will be used to confirm or compare this data. More specifically, the triangulation used in this research is search triangulation, that is, comparing and cross-checking the level of reliability of information obtained at different times and by different means in qualitative research. One way to achieve this is to compare the results of interviews between one search or informant with other research search or informants by Mulong in 2007. Then you see reference materials, which supporting materials that support the data we find. For example, to build the credibility of interview data, it must be supported by interviews transcript, photos, or authentic documentation. Furthermore, the research results are strengthened by comparison with previous research findings. Lastly, using the NVivo qualitative data analysis tool program for the development, support, and management of qualitative data analysis, whose main function is to code data effectively and efficiently. NVivo can help qualitative researchers code data from various sources and at the same time separate data source from informants, researcher, and secondary sources such as books, research report, historical documents, journal article, website content, online news, conference proceeding, memos, field notes, bibliographic annotation, and even researchers' daily journal stored in Vivo. And Vivo is also effective for triangulation. These are the references used in the preparation of chapter 1 to chapter 3. And finally, I thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.